This is anonymous. We do not forgive. We do not forget. And today, we pull back the curtain on something the Trump regime tried to sell as law and order, as security, as protecting Americans, when in reality, it was about cruelty, fear, and power aimed at the most vulnerable. We are talking about ICE, under Donald Trump, a deportation machine built on lies and impunity, and we are going to walk you through one hearing. One afternoon in Congress, where that machine was exposed on live camera. Veterans betrayed. Families destroyed. Court orders ignored. Citizens terrorized. All under Trump. All defended by his loyal enforcer at the Department of Homeland Security, Kristi Noem. Sometimes mangled in transcripts as Kristi Noem or Kristi Noem. Call her whatever you want. What matters is what she did for Trump. We will not sanitize this. We will not skip the uncomfortable parts. The core facts from that hearing stay, and we add what Trump never wanted you to see. The wider pattern, the numbers, the other victims that prove this was never about keeping you safe. It was about domination and performance. About showing his base how cruel he was willing to be. The story begins in a House of Representatives hearing room. The Trump regime thought this would be another scripted show about border security, another chance to rant about caravans and walls. Instead, Democrats turned it into an X-ray of the ICE state, a look inside what Trump had built and unleashed. At the witness table sits Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem, the public face of Trump's deportation machine. She looks calm and rehearsed, confident, convinced she can filibuster and deflect her way through anything while Republicans nod along and right-wing media clips the lines they like. Then Representative Seth Magaziner from Rhode Island gets the microphone. A Democrat. Calm voice. Tight questions. And as a cross-examiner, he puts on a master class, the kind of questioning that leaves no room to dodge, only room to reveal who you are. He starts simple. Madam Secretary, how many United States military veterans have you deported? Noem does not pause. She answers the way Trump officials often answer when they are cornered, with a lie delivered as if it were obvious truth. Sir, we have not deported United States citizens or military veterans. Not one, she claims. Zero. Listen to the move. She collapses two categories into one, citizens and veterans, because she knows that if the truth about either group comes out, the story that they only target the worst of the worst falls apart. Under Trump, the line between immigrant and citizen, between neighbor and enemy, was blurred on purpose. That blur was the point. Magaziner admits he has not served. He notes that she has not either. But he states the basic principle. As Americans, we owe everything to those who served in uniform, especially those who saw combat. Instead of giving a clear yes, she hides behind vague language about people with legal status, dodging a straight response, because she knows what is coming next. Magaziner brings in a face and a name. They are joined on Zoom by a man named Sejun, also written as Sejun Park. A United States Army combat veteran, shot twice while serving this country in Panama, in 1989. A Purple Heart recipient. Someone who literally bled for the flag Kristi Noem hugs at Trump rallies. Like many veterans, Park struggled when he came home. Post-traumatic stress, nightmares, substance abuse, minor drug offenses in the 1990s. Nothing violent. He never hurt anyone but himself. Then he did what the system claims it wants. He got clean. He has been sober for 14 years. He has lived in the United States almost his whole life. He has not lived in Korea since he was 7 years old. America is his home. His friends are here. His memories are here. His wounds were earned for this country. Earlier this year, under Kristi Noem's watch, with Donald Trump cheering from the White House, ICE deported him to Korea. They exiled a wounded combat veteran to a country he barely remembers, where he has no real roots and no support. They treated him like cargo, and pushed him out of the only home he knows. Magaziner asks Noem, publicly, to thank Mr. Park for his service. She gives a flat, generic answer. She says she is grateful for every person who has served and follows our laws. Follows our laws. That is the tell. Under Trump, the ICE machine decides you broke some law decades ago. Decides your post-traumatic stress does not matter. Decides your decades here do not matter. And then erases you. You are good enough to fight their wars, not good enough to stay. Magaziner asks her to explain why she deported him. She retreats to the talking point. Every one of them needs to be enforced. Every law. Automatically. No mercy. No discretion. She wants you to believe the machine runs itself, that she is just a neutral official pressing buttons, that there is no moral choice involved. So Magaziner pushes back. He reminds her that many veterans struggle with trauma and addiction, that this is the reality of war, not a personal failing. He points out that this man took 2 bullets for the United States. He reminds her that as secretary, she has broad authority. She can use humanitarian parole. She can grant deferred action. She can choose to do the right thing, and she chose not to. He asks if she will at least commit to reviewing Mr. Park's case, to see if there is a pathway back for this man who sacrificed so much. Under the cameras, she finally says she will absolutely look at his case. Even then, she tries to pivot back into lecture mode. She wants you to hear her lines about law and order, not see the veteran she deported. Magaziner is not done. He turns to the man standing in the hearing room behind Noem. Sir, behind you, please stand up. This is Jim Brown from Troy, Missouri. A Navy combat veteran. He served in the Gulf War. He is married to Donna, who came to the United States legally from Ireland when she was 11 years old. She has lived here for 48 years, almost half a century of life, in America. Because of Kristi Noem's Department of Homeland Security, because of Trump's ICE, Jim's wife has been in prison for the last 4 months. Not because she stormed a Capitol, not because she joined a cartel, because of 2 bad checks totaling $80, written 10 years ago. That is her crime. For that, she is locked up and facing deportation. Torn away from her husband and her community over a small financial mistake that, in a normal system, would have meant a fine and a warning. Magaziner makes Noem say the words. He asks her to thank Mr. Brown for his service. She does, because refusing would be too obviously monstrous even for this crowd. Then he asks the question any decent person would ask. What possible explanation is there for locking up his wife for 4 months over 2 bad checks from a decade ago? Noem hides behind the same shield. She claims it is not her prerogative, not her latitude, not her job to pick and choose which laws get enforced. But Homeland Security secretaries under Trump had huge discretion. They decided priorities. They decided who to target and who to ignore. They decided whether ICE focused on violent criminals or on the spouses of veterans over $80. Under Trump, they chose cruelty again and again. Cruelty was not a bug. It was the feature. Magaziner says it plainly. She has broad discretion, she can do all kinds of things, but she is choosing not to. He asks again if she will at least review Donna's case, and try to reunite this combat veteran with his wife. She gives the same mechanical response. I will review the case. No empathy, no apology. Just a bureaucratic answer she hopes will disappear when the cameras turn off and the news cycle moves on. And then it gets darker. Congresswoman MacGyver takes her turn. She asks a question authoritarians hate. Do you agree that using Department of Homeland Security resources to target members of Congress is an abuse of power? As MacGyver speaks, Noem talks over her. Excuse me, would you say that? If you stopped talking and listened, you would have heard me, MacGyver snaps back. She repeats the question. Noem denies it. She claims they are not doing that they are just enforcing the law. She starts another rambling defense, and then the time runs out. The chairman moves on to a Republican from Oklahoma, giving Noem a breather. But the question is now in the record. Are you weaponizing the Department of Homeland Security against elected officials? Next up is Congressman Dan Goldman of New York. He focuses on asylum law, the very system Trump spent years attacking in speeches while his administration quietly tried to break it. Do you agree that asylum is a lawful pathway to immigrate to the United States? He asks. Noem cannot deny basic reality, so she grudgingly admits that yes, there is an asylum program in place. Goldman walks her through it. If asylum is lawful, then immigrants with ongoing asylum applications are legally in this country while their cases are pending. Correct. She tries to muddy it with talk about individuals with applications and complex processes. He pins her down. Asylum is a lawful pathway. If your case is open, you are here lawfully. Then he drops the hammer. If your department deports someone with an ongoing asylum application, you are violating the law. Instead of answering that, she drags Joe Biden into it. She starts talking about the last administration, about anything except the department she runs for Donald Trump. Goldman takes his time back. He says what she refuses to say. If someone follows a lawful pathway and has an open asylum case, they are here legally. Deporting them anyway is breaking the law. And yet, around the country, her department under Trump is deporting people with open asylum cases, then telling Congress to change the law if they do not like it, while refusing to follow the law that exists now. This is the dark side of ICE under Trump. Not just cruelty, but open lawlessness in a suit and tie, hiding behind the word enforcement. And then, when the questions are at their sharpest, Kristi Noem does what cowards do. She runs. She thanks Republicans for not taking their foot off the gas. She says she has to leave early because a FEMA review council is releasing a report and she needs to co-chair it. She gives herself an important-sounding excuse. And then she stands up and walks out. As she leaves, people in the crowd heckle her. A member of Congress waiting to question her next says, "I am just going to take the position that she is scared of my questions." From the audience, a voice cuts through the room. "How dare you? How dare you? How dare you? How dare you?" The chairman stops the clock and resets the time. But the moment is burned in. The head of Trump's Department of Homeland Security literally fleeing a hearing, while a chorus of "How dare you" follows her out the door. Congresswoman Ramirez takes her turn and leans on facts instead of spin. She points out that Trump's Department of Homeland Security kept telling the public they were only going after the worst of the worst. But investigations and court records show something very different. Under Trump, ICE arrested tens of thousands of people with no criminal record at all. One NBC report found nearly 75,000 people with clean records swept up in this dragnet. That is not law and order. That is mass punishment. Ramirez also reminds Noem what court orders are supposed to mean. A federal court told the administration to stop sending detained migrants to a mega prison in El Salvador. Even after that, Noem personally approved continuing the flights. People deported under her watch reported being raped, beaten, and almost killed inside that prison. In Chicago, agents under her command fired chemical agents at protesters despite a district court judge explicitly forbidding their use. Under Trump, this became an unlawful, unconstitutional war on communities across the nation. All of this is part of one picture. Trump built a system that rewarded the people who could be the harshest, the most loyal, the most willing to hurt others in his name. Propaganda videos, like the cuffing season clips, where agents tackled migrants on camera and set the footage to upbeat music, were just the social media version of the same abuse. Pain turned into content. Suffering turned into a joke for likes and clicks. While Trump ranted about enemies and invaders at rallies, while he told his crowd that ICE agents had not gone far enough, people like Sejun Park, Jim and Donna Brown, and thousands of others lived the consequences. Veterans discarded. Spouses locked up. Citizens grabbed by mistake and treated like suspects until paperwork said otherwise, if anyone bothered to check. This is the dark side of ICE under Trump. It is not a few bad agents. It is a system that punishes loyalty, trauma, and poverty, while giving power and protection to those who obey Trump and ignore the law whenever it gets in his way. This is what happens when a president demands more pain, more fear, more separation, and fills top jobs with people like Kristi Noem, who see court orders as obstacles and human beings as numbers on a chart. This is anonymous. We do not show you this just to shock you and then move on. We show you this because behind every name in that hearing, Park, Brown, Donna, behind every statistic about citizens detained or migrants sent to dangerous prisons, there are real lives being broken in silence. Most of them will never sit in a hearing room. Most of them will never have a Congress member speak their name on camera. Trump built and expanded this machine. He defended it. He demanded that it be harsher. He told his followers that cruelty was strength, and that anyone who questioned ICE was weak, disloyal, un-American. We are here to say the opposite. A government that terrorizes veterans, that lies about detaining citizens, that defies judges, that turns deportation into a meme, that government is what is un-American. You have seen the dark side of ICE under Trump. You have seen how they talk when they think no one is checking their facts, and how they stumble and run when confronted by the truth. What you do with this information is up to you. Share these stories. Support those exposing this abuse. Stand with veterans, migrants, and citizens who are fighting back. Demand that any administration, this one or any future one, be held accountable when it turns law enforcement into a weapon. And if you want this truth to keep breaking through the noise, do not just watch and scroll away. Hit subscribe. Help this channel reach 6 million subscribers, so these hearings, these victims, these receipts, cannot be buried or spun or forgotten. This is anonymous. We do not forgive. We do not forget. Expect us.